Hey, DeDee, I want to welcome you to the Beat Your Anxiety Summit. And, being a business owner myself, as a recovering people pleaser and someone who has struggled to see my own value and my own worth. And I know a lot of this audience here are also business owners and entrepreneurs. And I know you specialize in really helping people see their worth, see their value as business owners and thought leaders and change makers. So DeDee, can you tell us more about who you are, what you do, and what motivates you to do the work that you do?
Oh my goodness. Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here at Lydia. And I'm really excited to share my story and to contribute as much as I can to the show. And so honestly, it all really started a while back, and I will give you guys the shorter version of the story. But ultimately, what had got me onto this journey now is basically when I was in my early 20s and having fulfilled all and everything that my parents ever wanted me to do. I was a really good kid growing up. I had straight A's. I had, graduated from college, got a really good job, all of the things that were expected of me. And I realized sitting in my cubicle one day and said to myself, this cannot be it. This has got like this.
Yeah.
I cannot be in this position for the rest of my life. If this is what they call freedom and fulfillment, I don't want it. I don't want it. And then that got me to really wanting to answer the question I always had was, what am I really meant to do, with my life? Because this is not it. And up until that point, I was just really lost and confused. I did everything that you could imagine before, of course, landing that corporate job, being a executive recruiter for a really great company. I always had this gnawing, this question of, are you going to be leaving this planet not doing anything worthwhile? And honestly, that was the beginning of it. And I started exploring, and then I got opportunities at the same time to open salon businesses and a restaurant business with my mom. And I just jumped on the opportunity because, the other route didn't work out for me as being in a position at a job. So I thought, why not? And of course, being an immigrant, oh my goodness, this is an American dream, right? Like having enough money to saved up to open your own business, why not? And I got into it so fast without hesitation, and ultimately trying to search for the thing that is going to light my fire. And after 5 years of that, wow, the American dream became an American nightmare pretty fast. I found myself working 18-hour days. I didn't see my boyfriend I was dating at the time. I worked from sun up to sundown, like I didn't see daylight. So long story short, I just made a commitment to myself of just really taking a step back to realize what is it I was doing. And at the same time, that was the pivotal moment that I decided to get married. And the week of my wedding, I lost my best friend to suicide. And what I learned was that she was actually suffering from anxiety and depression.
Wow.
And that was the moment I vowed to myself that no one should ever have to go through what I went through. And not only that, I was secretly surviving my own anxiety and depression as well. So that was the calling. That was the moment where I decided something has to something has to give. I had to learn how to focus on myself. And ultimately, that's what I did. And I feel like I cured myself from depression and anxiety, no drugs, no therapy, but just taking great care of myself physically, emotionally, and mentally by prioritizing myself. And at the same time, that's how I launched my business, and that's what I teach. And I just kind of fell into business strategy because of my brick and mortar experience building, businesses from scratch. But ultimately, after 2 years of working with my clients, and the real challenge and the struggle were from my clients where they couldn't make or break the ceiling of their revenue, is because they weren't taking care of themselves. So that's why I created Fit to Profit, with intention to, yes, teach you everything that you need to know in terms of running, and building your business, but also building yourself, because you are your business. Ultimately, if the CEO is not well and he or she is not taken care of, the business doesn't thrive. So that's like been the short version of it. So you can see that it's a part of my personal journey. Part of it is also a calling, but ultimately, because coming from a third world country, didn't have it much when I was growing up, my ultimate mission is to really teach every single woman to trust and believe and value herself and create whatever it is that she wants out of her life. And that may mean financial freedom.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, DeDee, you're definitely speaking my language, and I'm sure you're speaking a lot of language of the viewers watching. And I know as as I work with business owners as well as a hypnotist, these are some of the things that I hear. And even for people who haven't started their own journey to financial freedom, often what I hear from people is like, I'm tired, I can't take care of myself. Like, this 9-to-5 life does not give me the ability to take care of myself and to go after my dreams. And so it's interesting that, people who come to me for anxiety as well, they're like, I've always kind of deep down wanted to start my own business adventure. And I'm like, that's interesting. I had that same thought in my office one day, that this can't be it. If this is it, I don't want it. Just like you said, there's got to be something more. And I know people here are asking for more. And I love what you said about, taking care of yourself, or it turning into like a nightmare. And DeDee, can you elaborate on, like, why is it important, for those workaholics out there, who are just grinding, and maybe their anxiety is getting the best of them? Why is it important to just stop, shut off, like, take that care? And when we talk about self-care, self-love, like, these are two different things.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I think the signs are very obvious, right? Like for most of us, when we're irritable, when we're angry, when we're resentful, when we're emotional.
Yeah.
Those are all signs that we need to take a break. But ultimately, I think what happens is that when someone, I'm speaking for myself as well, recovering and or had experienced all of these anxieties and all of the feelings, is that once you're in it and you don't have anyone to help you feel any other way, that becomes the norm. So then you feel like that's normal. Like, that's normal that I'm anxious. That's normal because I drank too much coffee today. That's normal because I didn't have enough sleep. And then after a while, it was the new norm, and it becomes the norm.
Yeah.
And when you feel that way, then anything that you put out, it seems normal to you too, right? And so the reason that people don't really nip it right in the bud is because I think three things. First is because they don't have enough self-love, which we'll go into. Yeah. And then secondly, they don't have the support, right? Support or guidance or community. And third is they don't have enough commitment.
Yeah. I love how you brought up that word commitment. And I really want to dive into that deeper. I know we don't have a whole lot of time in here, but and then I also know a lot of this group, I mean, on top of those things, struggle with not being good enough. Like, I'm not worthy of that business or of that life or of that money. And because this is who I am. Right.
Yeah, 100%. And that big piece is ultimately, honestly, if you're anyone who's listening, if you're at a part or in a part of your life where you don't like, as of like, you're like, this is a bad part of the movie that you don't want to be a part of, guess what? You have the power to change it. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of making a decision.
Yeah.
And then create a plan and commit to it.
Yep.
And I'm not going to say it's all rainbows, sunshine, and unicorns, but you get to choose, and you have the power to do that. Community, you can go out. Oh my gosh, you can look for community, right? And you can really begin to learn, wow, to see what's really possible for other people. Like, I mean, people talk about making 6 figures. Now people are talking making millions. It's not hard. But it's like, ultimately, we naturally make it hard for ourselves. But the biggest piece to all of it is commitment.
Yeah.
Commitment, ultimately, at the end of the day, being committed and staying disciplined. Yeah. And then just, feelings and all of the things are going to come up. But there's definitely a way to manage your emotions so that you can still stay committed and do what you need to do. Because ultimately, success is the only way it's going to give you the confidence that you need.
Yeah, exactly.
That's period.
You got to do it to get the confidence that you can do it, right? And, you know, in regards to like self-love, like in terms of like the type of clients that you work with, you know, what do you see their biggest struggles as? When like, let's say you have someone who's struggling to start a business, who wants to start a business and they're already exhausted, they're tired, they're over giving to others, they're kind of losing themselves in the process. Like, what message do you have for these type of people?
It's all going back to what we have been talking about, right? Like, the minute I decided to step away from brick and mortar and close or sell my restaurant, I put myself first.
Yeah.
So I can say that there would be no business if you didn't exist, right? Think about it. If you were sick, you had to call out from work. If you were sick, no one's running business for you.
Yeah.
And if you were tired, you get guaranteed that the quality of your work is not 100%.
Mm-hmm.
You know this, right? Like we know this. I know when I have had a great night's sleep and I'm like hitting the ground running, or I have a sluggish day. So don't worry about starting the business if you don't have, I'm not going to say the word, but if you don't have your stuff together.
Yeah.
If you don't have you, there's no business. If you don't have you, if you're not taking care of yourself, you don't love yourself, and you don't believe that you deserve to have a business, you have no business having a business.
Yeah.
Period.
I love that. You have no business. There was also a quote that I heard that was like, if you need like positive self-talk or something, I forget, this was like an Elon Musk, I think, quote or something. He said, if you need encouragement, you know, don't start a business, right? Because you may not always feel like in a place, you may not feel like encouragement is going to be enough, but that doesn't change what's in the bank account, right? Like that doesn't change, you know, whether you're actually moving along and being successful. It's like, if you can't encourage yourself, right? If you can't take care of yourself, then like nobody can do that for you. And I love how you pointed out, like the quality of your work suffers, the quality of how you show up suffers. And it doesn't even matter, for those of you listening, it doesn't even matter. Like your family could be your business, right? Like your family is kind of like its own business. And if you're showing up over giving to your family and under giving to yourself, then this is, and maybe you have a business, you're probably carrying those same habits, you know, into anything else. Yeah. And I know for me, it was very interesting what I noticed. I carried my spending habits from my personal life into my business life, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, we are, like, ultimately, right? Like, we are our business. Mm-hmm. Like, whatever problems that we have in our business is reflection of who we are in our personal lives, and vice versa, because we are one person. So that's why we get to address it. If we're not taking care of our business and we're not well, guess what? Business is not, it's not growing.
Yeah. Yeah. And so what about for those people who maybe, you know, like we were talking about earlier, you know, even now I find other coaches like charging very little. And, you know, to me, I'm like, oh God, $100 an hour sounds awful. But for some people, it may be hard to charge a little bit more. And so maybe they don't feel like they're good enough or they're worth the money. You know, can you talk about like what's actually going on here for these business owners or entrepreneurs who are struggling to like really step into their value and ask for more?
Yeah. So the first layer we need to explore is what is the value? Why do you need to start the business in the first place? And what value do they place on their services?
Yeah.
Right? Because if you really believe in what you do and the value of your work right off the bat, you are going to price yourself, you know, at a different rate than if you feel like, oh, I can do this for free, then you're going to do it for free.
Yeah. I know
Right.
a lot of this audience are like people pleasers. And I know me being a recovering people pleaser, like I would feel bad about taking money from others. Like I'd be like, I would be worried about their bank account and worried about what's in with their credit card situation. And I know we worked on this together.
Yes, yes. But ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going back to self-love. And do you feel like you deserve to have a successful business?
Mhm.
You deserve to charge a certain amount, but ultimately it ties to the value of your work. If you don't believe, first of all, if you don't believe in yourself, you are guaranteed you're not going to believe in the value of your work.
Yeah.
This, because your work and your service is part of you, right? So it starts with you believing in yourself and what it is that you have to offer. So that's the first thing. And ultimately, most of us are being told what we should charge.
Yeah.
True story. I'm about to release a couple articles on how I was told to charge a certain rate, but I 5x the rate. And that's what I started with.
Yeah.
Because I didn't believe that because I was new or whatever it is, this should be the rate. So understanding that market rates or your competitors and things like that, yeah, your competitors are your competitors, but you're different.
Yeah.
You have to be able to believe that, like the value of your work, and so that you can attract the right clients to you.
Yeah. Yep. Love it.
And yeah, ultimately at the end, like for sure, and your line of work, you know this, it really starts with loving yourself.
Mhm.
Honestly, when I was just getting into self-development, I was tolerating everything. My standards were very low. Like, that's okay. We can go to McDonald's for a date, or, whatever. Let's just buy a used car instead of buying a new car, whatever it is. So it's almost like you have to, number one, be in a community or experience what's truly possible and available.
Yeah.
And then tie that what's possible to, do you love yourself enough to get yourself to do the things so that way you can create whatever it is that you want?
Yeah, it's interesting. I noticed some, and for those of you watching out there, I know this word comes up like codependency, and I could see how my own codependency was showing up in my sales conversations. Me, again, like being worried about other people's problems, like taking on other people's problems. And because of that, my value depended on what everyone else was thinking and or struggling with. And so it was like I kept merging into them, and there's that transference going on. And yeah, I mean, and this is the same patterns that happen in our personal relationships, just like you said, if we're dating or we're buying a car, like how you decide to do everything, or how you decide to do one thing is how you decide to do everything. Is it based on what you think about yourself, or is it based on what you think others think about you? And I know this is something that I'm still struggling and working through, is really just deciding for yourself, and of course having that empathy, right? Like you can have empathy when you're on that sales call, right? And somebody's struggling to make ends meet, but you know that they really want to start that business, or they really want to make that investment. And but you're coming from a place of like, you're putting what they want first, not you in front of them, not them in front of you, but it's just like, what's best for this system as a whole, that like, how can we make it a win-win situation, versus feeling sorry for them, or like, oh, that's
Yeah.
okay. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and for sure. I mean, it's I'm glad that you're bringing this up, because ultimately, if we're not able to manage ourselves and understand that this is what we need to work through, this is how we're showing up in our business, specifically our sales calls, right? So we get to work on these things just as much. That's why, going back to work on yourself, make sure that you're taken care of so that we can handle business related activities. And ultimately, whatever the outcome and things like that, perhaps this is the last thing that I want to share, is ultimately, no matter what happens, you can really learn how to trust yourself by being 100% responsible for whatever it is that you already have in your life right now and what you don't have.
I'm so glad you brought this up, because
you created all of that and you didn't create all the other things that you don't have yet.
Yeah. Yep. I
In
love
that
that
place,
reframe. Mhm.
yeah. And guess what? You, in that place, then you're empowered, right? Any other place you're blaming somebody else, you're blaming the government, you're blaming the pandemic, you're painting, you know what I mean? Like, I took the vaccine and, I was out for 2 weeks, whatever it may be. Guess what? You're responsible for that. You decided you want a vaccine shot.
Mhm.
Guess
Yep.
what? You knew that you were going to, so really step into your own power. Just like I said earlier, you have a choice to make. And every choice has a consequence. And guess what? You have the power to choose whichever decision you make, but you're responsible for everything that you have or don't have.
I love it. And I remember you talking about this in one of your videos. I know, DeDee, you have a YouTube channel as well that you're really getting off the grounds. And I remember you talking about this, like, self-trust. And I know a large part of this audience really struggles. And I can already hear the questions coming up. Well, I can't trust myself. Like, I don't follow through on things. And I love, can you talk about, like, the consequences of not following through with ourselves and having that integrity and self-esteem?
Oh my goodness. So just like the responsibility piece, you get to be responsible for whatever the consequences are. And imagine when you don't follow through, your confidence is chipping away every single time you lie to yourself.
Yeah. Yep.
That's how you did, that was like the quickest way to diminish or eliminate your self-confidence. Because guess what? I mean, behind closed doors, no one is going to know you skip a workout. No one's going to know that you didn't do that sales calls and things like that. But you do.
Yeah. Love it.
If you keep doing that long enough, of course you don't trust yourself.
Makes sense, right?
I am guilty. I am guilty. Honestly, I just finally, after all of the years, get myself super disciplined, be like, yeah, I don't want to do this, and go through the emotions and things like that and still do the fucking thing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Guess what? I don't get to feel in this. I mean, I put the task down not to feel, whatever X, Y, and Z, but I get to do it. But I get to feel whatever I want to feel with it, but I got to do the thing. So if you want to build confidence, the number one rule ultimately is keep your word to yourself. Starting with the smallest stuff.
Yeah.
Start there. Don't worry about opening or starting a business yet. If you told yourself you were going to work out 3 times last week and you didn't, don't worry about opening your business yet.
Yeah. Don't
waste your money. I'm just gonna be frank. Like, I'm just gonna be honest here.
Yeah.
Because that's all it is.
Yeah.
Keep your word. That's how you build your confidence. Confidence eventually is going to get you to be competent. Mm-hmm. But like on the way there, confidence doesn't happen first. You got to do the work, right?
Yep.
And you can be good at something, then you will feel confident. Yep. I learned this from teaching yoga. I was a shitty yoga teacher, and sorry for my language, but when I was not confident at all. But after like 1,500 classes and 3,000 hours teaching, oh yeah, I was confident. I can teach now in my sleep.
Yeah, I love this
consistency. Yeah, the consistency and keeping word to yourself. That's how you're going to build confidence.
For those of you,
my word.
Yes, it is marked, especially in my book, and I think, like, I know all this now, and I'm sure it's come from a bunch of different resources. And DeDee, you obviously have been a huge influence on me. We worked together for a year at least. And for those of you listening, like, are you seeing now how, like, wanting to be confident before you do a thing, keeps you in that paralysis, right? Because you don't build confidence as ability based. And so while you can step into feeling stronger or maybe like more relaxed, the confidence is built when you start doing the thing, and you get to give yourself permission to learn, to fall on your face, to make mistakes, and be free from, and that's how you get going. And DeDee, I know you have a free gift for this audience, and for this group being people who, and a lot of them being business owners and entrepreneurs, who are struggling with feeling like they're good enough, and they're just exhausted from overgiving, not feeling confident about who they are, or even trusting in themselves. And I love how you brought up how to build self-trust. Like, for those of you listening, if you knew, right? Like, if you knew that every time you broke a promise to yourself, that it would chip away at your self-esteem and your confidence and your integrity, would you still continue to make the same decision? And I know
Yeah.
I don't.
Right, like tonight, just be like, and it's interesting. That is the moment when I learned, like, dad, that's why I don't trust myself.
Yeah.
Because I don't keep my own word.
Yep.
So
Makes sense. Perfect. And DeDee, can you tell us what you have for this audience so that they can start to turn this around?
Yes, absolutely. And for those of you who are already entrepreneurs, I created an amazing gift I'm really excited about. It's a ebook for solopreneurs who are looking for strategies to up level and certainly, generate at least 6 figures or multiple 6 figures in your business. It's a solopreneur's guide. So check it out. It's on my website. And I believe that Lydia and the team is going to include all of that, link below or in the email. So check us out. I'm on www.fittoprofit.com. If anything I can share with you today, it will be our tagline, which I love currently, is your self-worth is your net worth.
I love it. And, of course, being a business owner, like, I actually saw that on your website the other day, and I was like, wow. Like, I mean, just wow, popped up in my mind, because it's so true. Like, and it's not even just about money, but what you get back, whether it's that new car, whether it's that loving, mature, authentic connection or relationship. Like, it's really just a reflection on how you see yourself. And if you need help with this, reach out to DeDee, check out her website, fittoprofit.com, click the link below, go get this free gift. Again, you'd be crazy not to take advantage of this free offering. So to help you in your business endeavors, if you're struggling to make money, you're struggling asking for money, go get this free gift. I can vouch for DeDee. Like I said, I worked with her for a long time, and she's transformed my life. So DeDee, thank you so much for joining us on the summit. And it's just what a transformative conversation for this group.
Thank you. Thank you so much again for putting all of the work together for this show. Thank you for having me. Thank you for honestly doing the work and doing what you do, because so many could use your help, obviously, and you're a phenomenal hypnotist and coach. And and I love that we're still able to maintain our friendship and relationship. And thank you.
Thank you so much, DeDee. Thank you for everything. And thank you all for listening.